Welcome to Make Your Own Fun. Finally, I'm here with Anastasia Elfman. She is an actress extraordinaire. I'm using my hands more because, stationary shop. What else can you do? So, welcome to the show. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm better now that you're here. I wanted to kind of start off today and go with the most recent thing that at least I know of that's kind of out there with you. The Fat Fleshy Fingers. If you could talk about that a little bit, I think people would like to know about that.
Okay, it's short that I'm in part of an anthology, a horror anthology full of very wacky and kind of gross stuff. It just had its world premiere. So that was the first time I got to see it as a whole and with the other fantastic Wild Wild films. And let's see, I was working with Sophia and Michael Epstein. I play two parts. I play mom, and then I play, what was the other one? I think Billy. So I play my own mother.
How was that? I'll stop you there. How was that to play the two
um,
parts? Did you have scenes where they had to cut you talking to yourself?
oh no, no, no. They're like totally different time periods. So it worked perfectly. So we don't talk to each other at all. Actually, at that point in the film, when I'm playing my own daughter, the mom is like missing, I guess. I don't know. It's
Mm.
never explained. I just assume she's missing.
Convenient storytelling. That's awesome. So how did that project come about?
Well, I've worked a lot with Michael and Sophia. And so whenever they have something fun that I guess I fit the role for, they reach out to me and I just automatically say yes because I trust them so much. So I didn't even read it. I just said yes, sign me up, and I don't even remember how long after that I was on set playing pretend.
That's awesome. And I don't know if you saw my interview with her, but she sings your praises and says
Oh,
you're like the go-to, and just some of the stuff that I've seen and talking to her and to a few other people, it was like, yeah, Anastasia's the real deal.
oh, that's so sweet. Well, I love them. They live actually down the street from us, my husband Richard and I, and so we end up seeing them a lot at different horror events, screenings. We have them over to the house for dinner parties, all kinds of stuff. And
That's
they've worked on my projects. Sophia came and was a trooper as a background actor for like an all-day shoot. So I'm like forever grateful to both of them. And then we actually killed, well, I don't know if I should say, but something happens to Michael in one of my, so
great.
and he deserves it in the film, in real life. He's great.
No worries. So let's turn back time a little bit in your Wayback Machine of Choice, and we'll get to the stuff that you're working on now. But I'm curious, when you were younger, how you kind of got into acting or performing, or was it something that if you saw a play or a movie or something where you said, "Oh, I want to try that."
Ooh, that's a big question. I grew up classically trained in ballet and cello and in the theater. So I grew up as kind of a theater performer, always performing, no matter what it was. So that's kind of just everything I've ever known. And I grew up watching a lot of silent films, classic films. So I'm just like, and like to say a huge film buff. So yeah, it's kind of anything and everything related to film or creating cliche I have done. I've done special effects, I've done film fabrication, set design, costuming, makeup effects, props, name it, I've probably done it.
But that's
Professional.
great because that makes you like completely invaluable to not only projects that you're working on, but like you were saying earlier too, it kind of plants the seeds in people's mind going like, oh, well, when we were having lunch, she kind of said she did this other thing, and maybe I can hook her up with like a couple other people and maybe, kind of put a crew together for a project because that's, as you know, that's how things come together. They don't really come together anymore like back in the old days, like you had to call people and meetings, and it's more just people are already working on something, and then there's always somebody else there that's like, yeah, I got this thing in like 3 weeks, and like, would you be down for that or something? You've had
Yeah.
conversations, I'm sure, like that where it's just you're there and then someone else is talking about something else and you just your ear kind of goes, what?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's part of my little side project is getting all of, because we end up knowing a lot of very creative and talented people in the art. So one of my little hobbies is connecting our friends together so that they can make great art. So I love doing that. I love being called to help. I love, anything I can do to help somebody create is, that makes me happy.
That's
So,
great.
and I totally believe in that, like, especially like coming from the costume world, it's like, we got to make it work. We got to get on stage, let's just tape it up. Who cares about sewing? It's time to go. It's showtime.
Oh yeah, it's that old adage, show must go on, and no matter what, there has to be a show. Might not be the
Exactly.
best show, but the show has to happen. Um, so I am
Yeah.
kind of curious to kind of piggyback on what you were saying a little bit earlier too. Coming from that side of things and knowing kind of like what you kind of veer towards. At what point do you think when you were younger that either you got exposed to or you just kind of made a left turn or the straight and narrow into like the horror genre?
Oh, I've always loved horror. I've probably watched all of the classic horrors way too young. So so that's probably like in a fun way warped my mind and helped make me the little weirdo that I am now. So I don't know, it's just always, I mean, for me, those are where the fun parts are. Those are where the, nitty gritty, I can be weird, I can be funny, I don't have to worry about, anything. And I can eat up a scene, you
Oh yeah.
know? Like, I mean, I applaud people who can do dramas and teary moments, but that's not me. I want to go for the gag. I want to go for the laugh. I want blood on me. I was born of this. Like, I want to eat that scene
Oh,
up.
that's great. Well, here's a fun question that I've asked a few actors too, and it's always great because it's always different answers and it's hilarious. So obviously, going back over the years, you've been on numerous sets. You've various degrees of budgets, various what I call time constraints in terms of like, oh my God, how do we figure this out? Especially if it's a horror movie, you're always like racing against the light, like the coming of the sun. So in a situation where you guys had to do something and it was like maybe a stunt or some weird wacky like practical effect where you were like, I don't know if we should be doing this doesn't seem safe, and like for an example, when I interviewed Trista, she said that she was working on a film and they like tied her, there was like a torture scene or something, and she was tied to this chair, and they're like, okay, so we're gonna lift you up and then turn you upside down and then drop you on her head. It's gonna be great. And she was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, you mean you're gonna cut away, right? And then you're gonna put a mannequin? Like they're like, mannequin? Like what? Oh yeah, we're just gonna drop you. And she was like, no, don't drop me on my head. So have you
Oopsies.
had anything like crazy like that happen where you're like, wait, what?
Trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, I feel like I do my due diligence, and before I say yes to something, I have to fully and completely trust the people that I'm working with. I mean, it doesn't work for my instrument as an actor, as a creator, if I don't feel like I'm safe on set, if I don't feel like I'm safe to get like dip down into my character, I every single person on set is very important, to like the creative process, let's say. So I don't have any danger stories because everybody I've worked with has been very respectful of, me, and vice versa. I've always been respectful of their process. I have had like it's time to be like a trooper where you've got to like
Okay, yeah,
go,
those
go,
are
go,
good too. Yeah.
go. On my upcoming film, Bloody Bridget, which my husband Richard Elfman and I both produce. So it's like kind of you take the work home with you during the time that you're shooting. So, one of the days that we did all the kills back to back to back on a green screen. So it was from, the first call time on the day to like wrapping up at night. It was just like 6 or 7 back to back kills. And so it's basically like, you know, ripping somebody's chest open, having blood squirt at you, and then getting the different angles, and then hobbling over to the side and having my wonderful makeup effects crew like give me a cold hand bath with like dirty freezing cold water as like everybody's just trying to like clean up and get the next set going. So I did that, 6 or 7 times. So that was a trooper moment for me, and not getting to sit down, not, I mean, by choice, because
Right.
the show must go on, we got to get it. We only had that day on that particular set. So, but yeah, that was a little tough, but I was safe.
No worries. And obviously being in Hollywood, that stuff just happens around, and there's just even people shooting stuff for, YouTube and TikTok videos where you're never really sure. You're like, I mean, I've even been walking, I don't know where I was, somewhere in Burbank, and walking on the street and seeing something, and I have to just stop. And it was so embarrassing, but I had to yell out because I saw like commotion, and I was like, "Are you okay? Or is this for like a video?" And they're like, "Huh? Oh, video, video." And I was like, "Okay, okay, okay." Because if it looks really real, and it's it's supposed to be bad lighting because you're not supposed to see exactly everything that's going on, and it's just a normal person walking down the street. You're like, should I? Okay. Well, it looks really real, and I'm really hearing people screaming, and I don't see a camera, and I don't see lights. So, that's. Have you been in a situation where you've walked off of a set and been covered in blood, and like just had to go around the corner to like 7-Eleven and pop in, and people were like,
I did a like a I guess it's like a short film for another horror anthology called 1031 Volume 2 with Drew Marvick in in Las Vegas. And so you know, I get a lot of blood on me, let's say. And so I was able to take like just like because we shot out of his home, and he's so wonderful to work with too, and I got to shoot with his son. But so we shot the scenes out of his home in Vegas, and so I got to take a quick little shower, but like it was stained, and it was just like still it wouldn't come up, and so somebody on set was so nice and drove me home, and this has got to be like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, and so I'm just like so exhausted from filming, and part of the scene was dancing too and doing it take after take. So I was so exhausted that I like kind of like like very tiredly ran into the place. I think we were staying at the Bellagio or something, and I ran into the hotel room, and all the security guards came at me asking if I was okay. What is wrong? Can't I go home? And they're like, ma'am, are you okay? You have blood on you. And so I had to like call my husband to come down and like talk to them and tell them that I was filming. And so that was like the only time.
It's
But it
funny.
was so fun.
Years ago, I worked on this movie in Detroit called Resurrection Mary, about this ghost that comes out of a cemetery, and then she purposely causes like accidents for people to get hit by cars and things. And so I was playing this the guy hip, and I had like the total like cheesy like tire mark across me and blood. And it was like, 5 or 6 in the morning when we wrapped, and everybody like was starving. So we just all hopped in like a van and went into like one of the suburbs or whatever. And like, well, it's open. We found this diner, and we're walking in there. I remember the waitress walked up to me and she was like, "Oh God!" And I was like, "Oh, it's okay. It's not my blood. It's fake. See,
It's my blood.
yeah, it's like cherry pie entrails and syrup and red dye." And she was like, "Oh, okay." And then another waiter came over to take our orders, and he just like looked at like this murdered row of people at the counter, and he was like, "The hell happened?" And the director was like, "Hell of a night, man. Hell of a night." So, but I think like, in middle America, that's like shocking. But it's like here in California, Southern California, people just walk around and they're doing stuff all the time. So that's why it's like I have that reaction now where it's like, is this real or are you okay? Or is it a video? Video. Okay, I'll just keep walking. So, have you had any instances where you've been on a lot and you've passed somebody else from like another production or whatever, and they have like their blood on them and their blood on you, and you're like, "What are you in? What are you in?" Does that happen?
um, I don't think so. But if that did happen, I think I would just like high five them.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, doing the Lord's work.
Yeah. Nice low hanging ear cut. That's great. Um,
When we were on set with Bloody Bridget, I would wear I wear this like when she transitions into like her demon kind of vampire look, I have this huge, very heavy wig. And so sometimes I would, because it would take a little while for my team to put it on, I would just like be a trooper and decide to have lunch in it or something like that. So you would like see me eating my lunch, and then I would get looks and I would forget that I was in it or forget that I have like, blood all over me. But that's like within the crew, I guess. It's
nice.
like you forget how creepy you look because you're just like,
You're like, this is just a Tuesday for me. What the hell?
do I have something in my teeth? What I don't get it.
Tonight, the Interlude Theater presents. All right, fine. Then you make the pasta. Enjoy. Oh, that's just great, Margaret. Now nobody gets to eat dinner. Perfect.
So I guess take me back again, and what point did you, when you were younger, do you feel like you made the jump or the step into maybe like stage performing or maybe open mics or plays into film, or that you got into it and you realized, oh, this is something I can do and I want to do this? I mean, was there a time like high school, college where you weren't quite sure, and then you were like, oh, and you maybe tested the waters with a short film or something, and you're like, oh, this is different, but I really like this?
No, well, no, I've always had kind of like the vision of always going into film. So it wasn't like a surprise, like, oh, you're going to be a film actress. I like both. I like the instant gratification of the stage and an audience, especially in comedy, because you can hear if the joke, hit or if it's a dud. I don't do stand up because I'm a little terrified.
It's tough to be out there by yourself.
I'm told that I'm funny, so I'm told that I should go do that, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet. I maybe I'll do like a course or something and like dip my feet in. But yeah, with comedy, you just know. You can feel. I love this stage because you can feel. You can feel if you lose them. You can feel. You can feel it all.
One of my favorite, I call this like sarcastic responses, because I've done a lot of open mics and things, and like,
oh wow,
if you've gone to a place where it's like it's like the first time you're there, or people don't know you, or it's just like you're performing for basically like I want to say like the staff of the cafe and like a guy half passed out in the back and like somebody reading a book or texting. I One of the sarcastic responses that I mean I just get so much mileage out of it because I don't think it's ever mean spirited, but I just love the slow golf clap of like you're waiting like the last thing you're saying, and you know, even if I'm just standing there with the book like reading poetry and my phone, I'm like whatever, forevermore or whatever the last word is, and I'm like, you know, lowering the book and I just hear and you look out and you're just like, all right, fuck me. Okay, up next we have so and so.
This fucking guy. You get up here. You get
Yeah.
so
So, are there things that you want to try on set that you haven't tried before? In terms of, it sounds like you've kind of run the gamut of everything on a set. So, is there something like either a stunt or some kind of practical effects? I mean, I don't know if you've ever like had a transformation scene or anything like that. I'm kind of curious about that kind of stuff.
um, let's see. I don't know. I guess more training and stunts would be helpful. Um, because sometimes it's a surprise when you walk on and they're like, by the way, we're
By
gonna
the
put
way, here are your new pages. This is going to happen today.
yeah, so I mean that, but that's something that like I would do and like have in my back pocket for fun. You know, I always believe it's like you're constantly learning, you're constantly you know, working on your craft. So that's just something fun that I would like to do and learn. Because you know, it's like you get the bare basics of it, you know, and to be considerate to your other, you know, your playmates, let's say, and you know, ask before touching, those kind of things. But not everybody does that. So
True. But like, have you gone through prosthetic makeup and things like that where you've done transformations to, you know, slowly do, I don't know if you do cutaways and editing or whatever with it's like turning into a creature or, you know, vampire, werewolf, whatever. So not a lot of people have gone through anything like that. Have you had any experiences like that?
no, trying to think, not to the degree that I would love. I mean, you know, I love effects makeup. Obviously, I love Dick Smith and Rick Baker, all the greats. And I would love to do some kind of like creature monster, like acting where, you know, just like a werewolf and, you know, like all of those amazing transformations would be fun. I haven't gotten to do anything that insane yet, but I mean, you know, who knows what the future is going to bring. I'm down.
I mean, it's really hard to do this kind of stuff anymore just because of the practicality of it and the time constraints for movies. But one of my favorite horror films is The Thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that the prequel that came out with Mary Elizabeth Winstead was really good, but I was just a little bit bummed that a lot of the stuff was CGI because the original movie like still holds up. What if it's like the guy's head comes off and it sprouts like spider legs and eyes and things like that, and it's just like just to know the attention to detail and the amount of time and you know you can cover it in goop or whatever and it just looks great, but I've always thought like God, that would be so fun to do that where like the people are almost like siphoned together and they're kind of merging into this other creature. But do you think that maybe CGI is used a little too much in horror movies now, or?
Well, okay. I have a different viewpoint on that. I think because I actually have friends that do, you know, visual effects and stuff, but because I worked in practical effects and I have like a huge love for all practical effects, you know, puppets, all of it. I would say that like my perfect marriage would be a practical and then be like being embellished with CGI, you know, like what they do on The Walking Dead with their zombies. And there's so many ways to make that happen. Not, I mean, maybe not on the lower budget films, but the like big budget ones, they can definitely, I feel like they can incorporate more practical effects personally.
Right. I want to say like a really good example of that was the when they did the sequel series to I think it was on Netflix, The Dark Crystal. So they still
Mhm.
had the puppets and the animatronics and the marionettes, but then like the shots of the crazy stuff going on in the background was all CGI, but your eye is always drawn to what's going on with these things that the people are interacting with because they're tangible, they're real. Like you feel like you can touch them, and the furry, they feel like a pet or something. And I feel like, this is just me personally, but there's just like CGI, it's just like, welcome to Planet CGI. And you're like, it's basically nothing wrong with anime, but it's like you might as well be watching a cartoon.
Yeah, well, on the new Dark Crystal, they went a little crazy with those tongues, I have to say, because we watched some of those episodes. I was like, whoa, a little distracting, but all right, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, a lot of movies and shows, it's like you see the behind the scenes, or you see, like I end up following a lot of the creators that worked on that, and you see their like concept art, or the puppets, or the effects that they already made and then were just scrapped for like CGI. I think, wasn't there something with the newer Beauty and the Beast where that was supposed to be practical and then they went completely CGI, which I think is insane, because what I saw was beautiful. Like,
Oh, it was great. Okay, so let's dovetail from that into what you're working on now with Bloody Bridget. So are you guys you're saying like a lot of green screen? So is that making things easier, or what's the game plan for that?
well, a lot of, well, the major parts of the kills were done on green screen because we wanted to give like a very creative background, and like the sets flying away and going into her universe, and just smoke and lightning and all kinds of crazy effects going on. But so that was the more practical, just because of budget wise, that was like where we could be consistent with everything. But I mean, if the sky was the limit, I would have done it practical.
So give I guess the people watching kind of the cliff notes about what that story is about, because it does seem pretty cool.
Oh, okay. So the film's called Bloody Bridget, and basically it's about a Haitian voodoo deity who mistakenly thinks that a dive bar burlesque woman is his long lost wife, and so he changes this Bridget into a Valentine vampire, and basically the sword of justice, and she has to go after all these like very bad men and rip out their hearts and eat them in front of them as they're dying.
That's great.
Yeah, it's fun, it's fun.
And so um when you're working on a project, are you involved in terms of like um the locations, or studio stuff, or just because there are a lot of independent filmmakers and people making shorts that are watching these videos, and they're always kind of asking me, and I'm like, well, let me ask the people who are actually getting features made. If you're talking to the people about that are getting started, what kind of advice would you give them about that kind of stuff, about finding locations and things like that? Because LA, everything is like booked on top of booked on top of like astronomical rent prices.
Yeah, it's hard to shoot in town, but we managed to. We have a really like kick-ass and wonderful producing team. We On this film we have Brian Usna, we have Bernie Stern, Scott Roughgarden, and Debbie Vandermeulen, and myself and my husband Richard Elfman. We also produce, and so really that aspect of the filmmaking was done a lot with my husband Richard. He and Bernie did a lot of those things. I would say I've been, focusing on my part because I'm in almost every single scene with a huge, huge dialogues. Thanks, honey. Um, he wrote it as well, so um, so I focus on that. But we have a wonderful post production crew too. Who are working hard on stuff. And so I get to, my brother-in-law, Danny Elfman, is helping to do the score with our friend Ego Plum, who is like the king of cartoons right now. He does SpongeBob's music, he does Cuphead, all kinds of stuff. So they're working together to give us like the most amazing score. I mean, the best advice I can give is just have an amazing crew, and have them, do their job. And we have such a kick-ass crew.
Very cool. Very
So
cool.
very long-winded. Sorry.
No worries. No
It
worries.
takes a lot to like bring a film into the world, let's say.
It's a difficult birthing process. So as we are down to, believe it or not, the last 4 minutes or so here, I wanted to just kind of give you this time to kind of just let the folks know that are watching where they can find their work or where you want to funnel them into in terms of maybe, if there are filmmakers watching that want to reach out, should they go directly through like IMDb, or do you have a personal website? I mean, how would you like that?
I'm mainly on social medias. I'm on Facebook under Anastasia Elfman. I'm on Instagram under my stage name, Dahlia Demont. And our films all have Facebook or Instagrams, and Bloody Bridget Film is where you can find all fun things about Bloody Bridget. And also on Facebook, I have an IMDb, obviously, under my name. But yeah, and Bloody Bridget has a website too that's like being always updated. So that's a fun place to go to.
Is that bloodybridget.com?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Cool. I wanted to make sure people could, find your work and everything like that. So I guess is there anything that you might have out there on streaming that people can find going on January, February that you know about, where they could maybe see anything or anything like that?
We just released a previous film called Aliens, Clowns, and Geeks, where my husband wrote and directed, and my son-in-law, Bodie Elfman, starred in. And Danny Elfman did the score again with Ego Plum. So that's streaming kind of everywhere.
Okay.
And I play like 7 or 8 parts in that. So, and I'm like, I did stunt driving, I did body doubling for people. Some people played 2 parts, so I had to, I did anything and everything. I did like second unit makeup and costuming for pickup scenes.
I think it'd be, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go.
I was just gonna say, I think it'd be hilarious to see you in a short or a feature where you're playing like almost every other character that the main characters encounter. Like they go into a store, or they go into an office, or they go into, and they're always like, "Did I just? Do you have a sister? And then they see, like, they go to the post office or something, and they're like, "Oh, well, to send this out." And then the person turns around and it's you, and they're like, "Wait a minute, like,
Wait, she has a hat on. That can't be her.
What is this town like? Like the
That
mayor
sounds great.
runs
Let's
like the
make
bait
it.
and tackle shop or the gas station? Like, what the hell?"
Yeah, let's just make it. This is fun. It kind of sounds like the plot of Men, though. Have you seen that one where he plays like every character?
I think that stuff is great because it just gives you like a total playground to just do anything you want to do under the sun. But I wanted to just say thank you so much for being on the show. I literally hear a siren. I'll swear they're not coming to get me. Fullerton, right? What can I say? But thank you so much for being on the show. Expecting nothing but huge things. Can't wait to see Bloody Bridget, and have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. And I look forward to seeing more from you. And let's stay connected.
Let's do it.
Okay. Thanks so much.